Right. Poggers. Right. So, in Overwatch, there are a few different skills that you'd need. This ranges from mechanical skill, teamwork. It's basically mechanical skill and teamwork are the two major ones. And then part of teamwork falls communication. So you can have teamwork with little communication, but ideally you want maximum communication. Now, teamwork, lol. What is this? Teamwork. Your comment's coming in the way. Yeah, I moved out of the way. Right. So, as you go lower down the scale, let's bring up, let's see if I can draw some sort of correlation graph thing. Let's draw some correlation graph. So, so mechanical skill on the side, on the bottom, and teamwork. We'll put TW for teamwork, and then this is like bronze, and this is GM. All right, to paint. Okay, so the line technically goes like this, because the better you are mechanically, so at lower ranks, like so in this area here for bronze, you don't necessarily need to have the best teamwork to be able to win a game. I could jump into a bronze game now and say to you, I guarantee you that I'm going to win. Doesn't matter what the other teams do. Doesn't matter what the other players do. I'm going to win that game because I have a high mechanical skill on my hero and on other heroes as well. I'm not going to limit myself here just to Pharah, right? Mechanical skill based on other heroes. So if you want to be able to get yourself into other ranks from bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, masters, grandmaster, you have to start working on both of these abilities. The more you work on them, the better you get, the more you'll see yourself climbing up on this graph to the top. And that's why at the higher end it gets a little bit harder, because around this area here, if we just mark this off with a with like a red here. So at this point here, say in Grandmasters, both of the teams are very highly mechanically skilled, and both of the teams at this point should, in the ideal world, have really good teamwork together. So good teamwork consists of knowing, important one is bullet point, knowing what alts, bring this over here, knowing what alts the enemy team has. That's a big one. That's a big new one that I'm trying to keep track of to improve my skills in this game, because sometimes our team will forget what the the enemy has as an ultimate, and because of that we'll fall into traps of their teamwork. But if we know that Zarya has a grav, we can play split and we can have an ultimate ready to counter that ulti. Or, you know, there are loads of different variations of teamwork and communication that can be used to help you and your team survive what could be a very dangerous outcome from the enemy team. TW means teamwork. I'll write that again. Teamwork. So the ideal way, and this graph is very simple, is that's how it works. You know, you have the bronze, you have silver, gold, and then as you increase in all of these, now what you have to do individually, like down to teamwork, there are things like bullet points inside that, and in mechanical skill there are bullet points in that. Mechanical skill is about practice and experience. They're the two main things, I'd say. So let's go. Mechanical skill is practice and experience. Now, what do I mean by practice? Well, practice, you know, pretty self-explanatory. Practice is just playing and getting used to your sensitivity. If you're playing McCree, getting used to your sensitivity, making sure that you can smash those headshots. The more you practice, the better you will become. And experience is something which you can't really practice, as in, like, you have to go through a scenario yourself to be able to see the outcome. So I could say to Overwatch League players, right, can you pause for me? I could say to some Overwatch League players who play Pharah, but may not have played them so much that they're not completely experienced in a lot of different situations. I'll say, like, in a room, there's a Roadhog, a Soldier, a McCree, an Anna, and something else. And I'll say to them, like, which order do you go and take these people out in? Or which way will you survive on Pharah being able to go in and taking these guys out on, like, maybe King's Row first point? Like, how do you deal with that? So I can answer that based on their positioning and where they are, and I can say, right, we'll go for this guy high ground first, because as soon as that cover's gone, I can get the health pack, then I can dive here, then I can dive here. And this is just something which, you know, I would have run into that same team comp like 50 times and gone, right, okay, I died because I tried to go for this guy first. I died because I tried to go for this guy first. I died because, you know, I didn't think about somebody being in this position. And that's where experience comes in. That's not really practice, that's just knowledge. You know, knowledge is power. And when I think it was Taimu who's one of my sub sounds, you know, experience is important, and knowledge is power for Overwatch. And the more you know, the more little things you know. And that's why at top level Overwatch, you'll see all these kind of crazy strats, because they've got it. They're so experienced that they know new strats they can form based off the experience they have altogether. Right. Let me just get this guy gone. Alright, he's gone. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see that guy. Knowing what spelling level the enemy team has is that one as well. Alright, he's gone. Like, ignore the 15-year-old. That's a insult to 15-year-olds. So, experience is something where I can survive in deathmatch on Pharah for so long, and that's when I do my explanations of how I survive versus 7, 8 hit scans, because I just know in what order to do things and how to survive and where to fly and what to do. I'll always give Pharah explanations because I'm a Pharah player, but it goes the same for any hero, really. Like, when you're Tracer, if you are half health and you don't have recall, don't go blinking in. You know, go get some health pack, wait for your recall. If you're going to do some sort of backline damage, you need to make sure you plan your escape. Planning your escape. Experience is knowing not to get too close to the McCree before he flashbangs you. Experience is not getting too close to the Brig because she'll shield bash you. Hey, Game Crime Twitch, thank you for the Prime. Appreciate that. Can we get some love and chat for Game Crime? So that's where mechanical skill comes in. I mean, experience is, I'd say, still underneath mechanical skill. It's kind of, you know, maybe in the third Phantom category, but we're going to put it under mechanical skill for this one. So practice, get good, click on the heads. Would I make a click on the heads? You know, you could have all the teamwork you want, but if you can't hit the people, then there's nothing you can do. Then going on to teamwork. So let's go communication is the first one. So big bonus if you're looking to rank up. Talking to people, like making sure that if you have a microphone, that you can use it, you can talk to your teammates and say, right, this is what we want to do, this is our plan. Like, what do you think the enemy team, you can scope out the enemy team, and when this game begins, right click, see if anybody's got a profile that isn't hidden, and then check out, like, okay, this guy is, like, pretty much only plays Hanzo, or this guy only plays Reinhardt, and then you can form a team composition based off what you know about the people on the enemy team. And on that, you could build a stronger composition, which works stronger against what they're most likely going to pick. And if they pick something different, then you can swap and change. Or, you know, if your ability on a certain hero is good enough to be able to wipe them. So don't forget, and this is something which is personal to me, in some situations, I can deal on Pharah and win multiple times in certain situations which people think that you can't win in. Multiple hit scans, for example. So people say 2 hit scans. I play versus 2 hit scans all day long. You know, it's just about how you deal with them individually. And on paper, somebody might be a counter. A Widowmaker on paper might be a counter to Pharah, but then you learn how to deal with that. You don't just go flying in the middle of the air when they have a Widowmaker. You get close, you dive them, then you're at the advantage. You put yourself, the closer you get to the Widowmaker, the more advantage you have. Yeah, this guy can continue making accounts. He's just going to waste his time. So communication is key. Calling things that you see. Talking when you're low. Sometimes I'll even call for somebody on my team who doesn't have a microphone if they're low, a tank. I'll say, Winston's low on the left. Like, can you heal him? just so that our healers in their heads hear that they have a command to do. If not, they're just kind of looking around, unsure what to do. And these little things will help you rank up. If you're bronze, gold, or silver, and you start playing loads of deathmatch, increasing your mechanical skill, communication, talking, think about what the enemy team... Zarya hasn't had grav yet. She's probably going to have grav. I've been doing this more recently now, saying, right, okay, grav's going to come in. And the grav will come in. Oh, the high noon's going to come in. You just get like a feeling, like an internal feeling of like intuition that there's something that you haven't seen for a while that's going to happen. And the team's going to try and, like... People get kind of frustrated if they don't use their ultis too often as well, especially at higher levels. So you'll notice that McCree's will try and pull off a high noon quite... Like, they might try and do a real far flank, and, like, so long as you got it in your mind that the McCree might do that, there's something I have to think about all the time, like, who's going to be flanking where? What ultis could they have? Is deathmatch the best way to increase mechanics? I would say yes. I'd say deathmatch is the best way to increase mechanics because you're constantly playing. You die, you spawn, you kill, you spawn, you kill, you spawn. There's no waiting around. There's no waiting, grouping, riding payloads. You're literally in that deathmatch to improve the way that you play. What's up, Mustard Man? How you doing, man? How you doing? So communication is pretty much tier 1 of the teamwork aspect here. So communication, talking, say what you see. If somebody's flanking you around, if somebody's low, you'll notice when I play, I'm like, Ana 1, Ana dead, Ana half, Ana dead. And the reason that I say that they're dead is that if any of my teammates are going to hunt them down, they'll be like, well, where's this Ana? I'll be like, and if I didn't say she's dead, they'll still be hunting for her. So then I say Ana dead, so they cancel in their mind their checklist of Ana's gone, next target. Okay, McCree's half. Then we have somebody who can dive McCree, and I'll say, right, dive McCree, go. And shot calling is another form of teamwork as well, which we will cover as well. How much deathmatch should you play before comp? I play about 3 or 4 matches, just to warm up, just to get back into the muscle memory. I guess we can talk about muscle memory as well. I'll put that as like another sub one in here. That level of awareness only comes once you are so mechanically comfortable in your role. Exactly. That's very true. So I always explain, it's like when you're driving a car for the first time. I don't know if you... So we use manual cars in the UK, so we have... in America you call it a shifter or whatever, we call it gear stick. So this gear stick, you have to focus and learn inside a car when to change gear at the right revs, at the right RPM, at the right speed. And at the beginning of learning to drive, you're thinking about inside the car, right? You're thinking inside the cabin. You're thinking about, okay, is it time to do this? Is it time to do that? But as you progress in driving, I've been driving for more than 10 years, I don't even think about that stuff. I'm just thinking about the things that are on the road and thinking about the hazards that are around me. Like being a good gamer actually makes you a better driver. It's a true story. Because you are constantly predicting the things that could happen and you're aware, and that's game sense. That's real life game sense. Knowing which cars are going to come out, knowing what somebody could potentially do. And that can actually save people. It's true, man. It's true. Your driving SR increases. It's for sure. And once you are comfortably mechanical on a player, on a hero, then that's where you can really start focusing. I'm going to call this a next section game sense. Because game sense is something completely different from mechanical skill and something technically completely different from teamwork as well. So communication... huge thing. If you see something, say it. If somebody's low, say it. If you're low, press X and say it. If somebody when a tank dives me now on Farah, before anything, I press X. I say I need healing before I've taken any damage, because I know through experience that I am going to start taking more damage than I can handle, maybe not even get away. If my healers are alerted before they dive me, or as they're diving me, I have the chance to survive. Teamwork, communication. That's all it needs. So shot calling is something which is very important in terms of Overwatch League, that kind of high level. It's still needed in Overwatch as well. It kind of in ladder, so you've got ladder, which is just playing competitive match. In ladder, you'll have a lot of people that are shot calling at the same time. It's endorsement. People want to do it because of the endorsement as well, but it's actually quite important for kind of single or 2 people to do this. If there's somebody low, if there's a target, so we'll say 2 teams are starting, and we'll say, right, what we're going to do now, we're dive comp, we're going to go onto their Zenyatta. If we don't say we're going to go for a specific target, then the team kind of doesn't really know what they're doing, and somebody will go, right, we'll go here, or we'll go here, and you need like a solid laser beam focus on what you're going to be doing. And shot calling will be, we dive the Zen dies, and then we say, right, somebody's half, it might not be the second healer, we might go, right, McCree can die if we all dive on him now. Then we dive on, and you know, and that shot calling is basically somebody who is in charge of how the team composition works. I agree and disagree with the argument with people's choice in hero they play most. Now, this could be hard to figure out when Blizzard has decided to automatically privatize your player profiles. I found that in a lot of Australians want to be a total ass and sabotage match without wanting to learn the game from others' feedback. Yeah, I mean, some people will just jump in and have no mechanical skill. They don't join voice comms. They don't care about helping your team, and that's where on the on my nice little graph here, where it goes down. The less mechanical skill you have, the less teamwork you have, you're going to end up at 0 SR, basically. Now, let's go on. So we covered communication, important. Shot calling, important. Important as well. If nobody on your team is talking and you have a microphone, at least get people to join comms if you can. And then you can be that shot caller. And you, at lower levels, being that shot caller can be the make or break of winning the game. Because if the other team are in silence and you at least say, somebody's low, or right, we're going to do this, most likely, because there is no teamwork or communication, people are probably going to listen to you. Even if you have no idea what you're talking about, or at least maybe you've seen a comp that might work, calling it and having some sort of communication is far better than having no communication. And, right, so, doing mechanical skills, practice muscle memory. Muscle memory is basically, I don't want to say an art form, but we'll call it an art form. It's the way that your hand and muscles remember the patterns that you use regularly. So, for example, when you're playing McCree or Widowmaker, you know from the center of your screen how far it is to flick to the right or flick to the left to be able to get a headshot just based on a quick movement and the muscle knowing that this is how far I need to move to be able to get that headshot. And a lot of that you can practice in just even in the training ground, to be honest. And one of my original videos I did for Widowmaker actually had like 300,000 views. It was very early beta days in Overwatch. I'd stand here and I'd zoom into this, and then I'd flick out onto the bots' heads. And the more you do this, the more you will become comfortable on knowing how far you need to flick out to be able to hit somebody. And that is muscle memory, kind of not aiming, because this is tracking. There's two types of aiming. You've got tracking, which is this, where you're kind of following them along with your crosshair on the head. And the other type is where you're just flicking out. And because muscle memory actually is very accurate, the more you practice this, the better you can become at playing certain heroes, such as Widowmaker, even McCree. So they're the two types of aiming. But muscle memory is how professional players, when they're in situations which are very pressured, so like a Widowmaker gets dived by a Tracer, and that Widowmaker flicks and hits that Tracer, you're like, that can't be a tracked shot. That is just a pure muscle memory shot from that insane Widowmaker who has practiced Widow so much, knows exactly every pixel on the screen. So that's muscle memory. Now, we also have Game Sense. This is pretty much the final one. I think Game Sense should technically be on this graph as well. Yeah, we're going to play comp today, for sure. We're just going through this. Somebody wanted to have how to rank up, how to get into different categories. But yeah, for sure, we'll be playing some comp as well. So Game Sense, I feel like, is technically speaking the same line as Teamwork. So it's like Teamwork and Game Sense. Because you can have a negative... You could be very good mechanically and have good teamwork, but if your Game Sense is bad, you could still die. Now, what is Game Sense? Game Sense is knowing the shit that's about to happen, or knowing the most likely thing that's going to happen, or knowing the Tracer could be flanking around, or knowing, hey, wait a minute, I haven't seen that McCree for a while, he could be going up to the high ground, and he could be going for a high noon. And a lot of Game Sense is gut feeling. A lot of Game Sense is knowing or feeling, right, okay, we haven't seen a high noon in such a long time, we're probably about to see one from the high ground now. And you'll hear that I'll sometimes predict and pre-call what I feel my game sense as. And again, with Farah, my game sense is heightened because I need to know exactly what's going on everywhere around me. So around where I am, I need to know if the Widowmaker's scoped in. If I need to know if the McCree could have high noon if I go up into the sky. I need to know if Brig has bash, if Hog has hook. And knowing these certain things, a good idea of game sense as well, when a Tracer, you see a Tracer go into a McCree and she'll blink away. Mechanical skill, but also game sense, knowing that the McCree could have flashbang. Same with the hook. Getting ready to blink as soon as the Hog hooks. Mechanical skill, but it is also game sense, knowing the Hog could use an ability. I learned game sense back years and years ago, more than 10 years ago, in games like Call of Duty 4, Soldier of Fortune 2, where I used to play tournaments and in lots of pugs and lots of team games where we had to think and know where people could be coming from. And the better you get at game sense, knowing right, okay, this team has pushed B, and the routes that he could potentially take are here, but the most sensible route for him to take is this. So my gut feeling tells me that he's going to be appearing here in about, like, 30 seconds' time. That is game sense. And that is something which is so important for you to learn in gaming that, you know, it's as important as both of these pretty much combined. Because if you have no game sense, you'll just forget that things are about to happen. If you forget things are about to happen, then you're fucked. And this is basically, in my eyes, the elements of ranking up in Overwatch. I'm talking from, you know, the levels I play between 4.1 and 4.3. And to be honest, it's exactly the same as you go higher, all the way up into Overwatch League. So you can have up even further on this graph. Can't really go any higher. But then you have Overwatch League up here. And Overwatch League is literally just a continuous graph from mechanical skill increase to teamwork increase. And you'll find at the very high level, do you remember how Revlabot I do? At the very higher level is that everybody's game sense is like fucking peaked, man. Like everybody's game sense is like Adderall level. Like, you don't stop thinking. You continue thinking. You're always on the ball. You know what could happen. You know when somebody's gonna do an ulti, and ult management, knowing when people are gonna, you know, that's basically it. That is the fundamentals of ranking up in Overwatch. So if we break this down, it's three bullet points: mechanical skill, teamwork, game sense. Work on all three, and you'll increase in skill rating, and hopefully you rank up. And thank you all for coming to my TED talk. Omega lol. Also, we have a new